Hi everyone, welcome back to the London Premier League show. I believe this is the first podcast of the official season. Welcome our special guest Jefferson. How are you doing?
Doing great. Hi everyone.
Right, so we'll start off with the big game of the past game week. Man United Liverpool. New guest Jefferson. Your thoughts on that game?
Well, I didn't expect it to be like that. Coming into the game, I thought it would be I thought they would actually come to Old Trafford and beat us 3-4-0. But after seeing their midfield, I kind of had faith in the team. Very good performance. Didn't expect that. But I think we deserved the win. The chances we had, Elanga could have scored, but he didn't. But very good performance from the team.
Xanthan, you get to watch that game?
Yeah, slightly. I watched the second half. I think coming into the game, had no expectations. But I did say to you earlier during the week that based on Sunday's match day, I felt like it was only right that Man United had to win just for the head of the match game of that week. But taking that all aside, I thought, that Jefferson said, I thought Liverpool had a point to prove, we had a point to prove. 2 draws from Liverpool, 2 losses from United. Something had to end. Someone had to prove something, and United came out on top. I think we took our chances. Liverpool were poor in the first half, and then they saw how we reacted and decided to up the game, but it still wasn't enough, and we managed to secure a win. I think it was a good performance. It was definitely a reaction, but we need to keep that reaction up and keep it going for the next 37, 35 games. It's not just a thing where, okay, we've proven it against Liverpool, we can now take our foot off the pedal. We've got to make up for those points. Yes, I'm grateful that we got the 6-point game, because I feel like Liverpool is definitely a 6-point game. This will make the difference in whether winning the league or taking the Champions League spot from them. Whereas games like Brentford and Brighton, these are must-win games. You know, when we consider other Premier League title seasons, there was years like, well, Chelsea only lost 1 game, Liverpool lost only 2 games and still don't win the league, and we've already lost 2 games going into the season. I'm not saying we're title contenders, but if we want to be, we can't be making losses like that in the previous match weeks.
James, anything to add? You watch
the only thing I would add is that I think it was set up for United the moment the manager made some tough decisions and tough calls. Because I think the fans are very much struggling with Maguire. So when he weren't starting, I think it gave them a little bit of, all right, this is interesting. He's made a tough decision there. He's benched Maguire, Ronaldo on the bench. Let's just see what happens. And Liverpool it was a good time to play Liverpool, because as Xanthan said, I think following the Brentford game, United had to do something. So up against a big team, I just think it was well timed at the game for Man United. I think it came at a bad time for Liverpool, because they're not clicking at the moment. There's 1 or 2 things that have gone on there that obviously need changing. Their injuries and all that, but I think overall United deserved the win. I think they played really well. I think the tempo was good from the start. And I think despite all the sort of stuff going on outside the stadium and the protest march and all that, I think the fans really got behind them from the beginning. But as just Xanthan said and Jefferson says, it's 1 game, it's just 3 points. Yeah, you can see it's a big 3 points because it's against Liverpool, but they've got to be consistent and do it consistently. And then we'll see whether they can play football.
I pretty much echo all 3 of your thoughts. The only thing I'd say, I know naturally football fans, Liverpool fans mainly, like you want to see your team start the season well. I think obviously the injuries have played its part as well. So I wouldn't panic if I was a Liverpool fan. Like I'm hearing people saying about like it's over, they can't catch City and all that. When they get their players back, if it's still the same, like Thiago, Matip, Konate, there's so many. Jota, I think he was on the bench. I don't know if he's injured. So when they get their players back, then I'm sure they'll like bounce back. Liverpool, I still think they're on a par with Man City as the 2 best teams in the country. So next, Leeds Chelsea, deservedly battered. I told Jefferson, I told him after the Everton game, he missed it. I asked him what happened. No, he asked me what happened, sorry. And I told him the game was poor. Our midfield was poor. It was an even game decided by a penalty, which was a penalty, but aside from that, you wouldn't have known we're meant to be superior team to Everton. Leeds came with high energy midfield, pressing. Mendy, he's lucky. Mendy's lucky. I think we've got too many problems to solve other than like a keeper. Because if our outfield, every area of the outfield pitch was solid, we'll probably be talking about potentially a new keeper now because he's made so many errors. I know James, obviously, last season, the West Ham, the Bowen penalty, trying to play out the back, Benzema caught in the Champions League. So it's happening a bit too frequently now. So nothing to Mendy, just poor keeping. Midfield, our midfield's the biggest problem in our team. And I don't know if we're going to address that in this transfer window, defensive midfield, but it was going to bite us at some point. I didn't expect it to be Leeds, but no, we were deservedly beaten by Leeds comfortably. And yeah, I don't know if any of you have anything to say to add to our midfield situation. That's one of the points on our list. Like, will we be neglecting our midfield if we don't buy a midfielder? I'd probably say so, because Jorginho is the only sort of defensive midfielder at our club, and he doesn't really do that role well. He's not mobile enough, not physical enough.
Do you need that more than a striker, Sion?
No, that's I think we need a striker probably more, but because we can't finish, but it's closely followed by a defensive midfielder, I would say.
Yeah, with your injuries, I feel like Kante gets injured a lot, and he's not really the same player he was a couple of years ago. Kovacic is a lot. So you can't really have a midfield of Jorginho. What was it? Jorginho, Gallagher, and who else was in there?
It was a pivot. It was them two in a pivot.
Yeah. Leeds with their high press, it was never going to work, especially with Jorginho, the way he moves. Nah, they're always going to beat you, in my opinion.
Exactly. And the thing is, we know, like, the manager knows, like, you know who's injury prone in your team. It's not like Kante's been injury prone for about 4 seasons now. Same with Klopp, similar issue there with like the injury prone midfield. Like, you address it before the season starts, and then these problems won't happen when you start the season, like, early on. So that's why I have no sympathy for Tuchel already crying about injuries. Me, I have no sympathy, because you know feel about
all your defenders scoring your goals, like, up top is not looking.
It's going to be the same as last season. Last season, our defense seems to be our best finishers, but it's not sustainable over a 38-game season. We saw last year we were leading the Prem until about December, West Ham game. After that game, that's when sort of the winter period start kicking in. Games every 2-3 days in the league, so that's where you get found out. So it'll work occasionally, but over 38-game marathon, you're not going to be able to achieve anything in the league winning that.
I think that Reece James is your only outlet in the team, so playing him at right, where did you play him? Right centre back against?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was never going to work out when he's the one you guys always look to for your goals and assists. So yeah, it was a good win for Leeds. Deserved everything.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. Our defense scoring over 38 games, that's not sustainable. You're not going to achieve anything in the league in terms of like competing for a title or anything like that with your defender scoring most of your goals.
So in answer to that then, like you were saying, some Liverpool fans think their title is over already.
Yeah.
Is Chelsea's title over already?
Yes. We were never in it for me because
you can't say that.
No, I can, because I'll bring up the evidence, because we haven't.
You're telling me at the start of the season, you weren't interested in the title race. You didn't think you could compete.
Absolutely not. Jefferson is out. They'll show you the messages before a ball was kicked. We haven't achieved 80 points in the league since we won it, and you need 90 points in the league to win it, and we can't even get 80, anywhere near 80. So I knew it. Like, I know miracles aren't going to happen. 38 games, there's no yes, there's a little bit of luck along the way, but for most of this season, you can't rely on luck, to be honest.
As Jefferson says, let's not take it away. It was a good win for Leeds.
Yeah, fantastic performance by Leeds. Yeah, deservedly beaten. Well, once the second goal went in, I knew it was game over. I told Jefferson, I called him during the game. It was over once that Rodrigo header went in. But next, West Ham. James, West Ham, your thoughts on their start to the season?
Outstanding start to the season. As predicted, we're never title contenders. We're never going to win the league. But no, it's a shame. It's a shame. We knew, we looked at the first 3 games, City, Forest and Brighton. City, you're never going to get much from, which we didn't. Forest, a new promoted team playing their first home game in the Premier League for 20 odd years. It was going to be tough, but on another day, we could have won that 3 or 4-1. We hit the bar, post, missed the penalty, etc. And then Brighton's our bogey team. So, it's a bit of a worry. I think we're struggling to get the players in that we want, reading between the lines and knowing a few people at the club. David Moyes has been very clever in how he's approached the recent press conference about transfers. He hasn't given too many names, but I know full well that the players he really wants aren't going to come because they're going to be attracted to bigger clubs, which is proven with the likes of Phillips, who went to City in the end. And we were in for him in January. But the players we have got, it'd be interesting to see how they mix and match, really. He's just got to start playing them. You know, he's got to play Skamaka and Cornet from the start rather than have them on the bench. I think if you spend that amount of money, you've got to play. You've got to play them, and then if it doesn't work, then you can swap it up. But yeah, poor start. We've done all right in the Europa Conference, but we have qualified for that. Two good wins, scores lots of goals, but we haven't scored a Premier League goal. That's the worry, you know. And we spent God knows how much, 40-odd million on this Skamaka, and he's meant to be our new striker, but he might come good against Villa at the weekend.
Okay, and the only question I had, do you think like Souček and Rice, do you think they need like competition? Like obviously they're your sort of two sort of integral midfielders. Would you like, I don't know who the backup is for them, I'll be honest, like because I see them play.
We signed Downs from Swansea, I think it was.
Okay.
Who's coming sort of midfielder. I think there's a lot of school of thought is that Souček isn't having the best of seasons, but we've only played 3 games. Like, you know, I think he's done all right. Rice is trying to lead the team a bit more because he's now the club captain. Yeah, I think it just depends on how he wants to play. But I'd like to see him play a few more people further forward and not play both of them. Just play Rice on his own and pat that sort of attacking midfield striking situation. Like, you know, I'd play Bowen, Skamaka, Antonio and Cornet as a 4. You know, so Bowen and Cornet on both flanks and Skamaka and Antonio up front with Rice holding. You know, that's how I'd do it. Or I'd even play. It depends really, but yeah, you're right. Some people are moaning about that midfield. It won't be as good as what it's been, but we've got to come good somehow. You know.
And your thoughts on the game with Brighton?
Brighton's Brighton. We played them at home and we haven't beaten them in the Premier League since they've returned.
Well, so they're your bogey team.
Yeah, we haven't beaten them in the Premier League. Never. So it was always going to be a bogey team. But you felt with the win on the Thursday night before last weekend against Freiburg in the conference, that would have been a bit of confidence taken into, but it didn't. Brighton set up really good. They're a very good, strong team they stick to their task and they do it well, you know. But we were poor for that game. We were poor, very poor. Worse, I think, I've seen West Ham for a good few years.
How do you feel about Rice's comment on what he said about West Ham's fans?
Whose comment?
Declan Rice.
What did he say?
He said something like, the fans, their expectations are too high, like we're never going to win the league, stuff like that. That's what he said.
James?
I think if he did say something like that, I think he always speaks well, Declan Rice. I think I haven't heard any comments that he's made, but I think the fans' expectations, because we've had 2 really good seasons, it's like they're sort of thinking we should be at least top 6. And when you start a season losing your first 3 games, you're not going to get top 6. You could end up struggling to get top 10. And that's a big difference. So I think the fans have just got to calm down a little bit. I think if Declan's going about saying comments like that, I didn't even realise that he became a father just before the Brighton game. So that was a bit of a surprise. I didn't realise he was even expecting. So that was kept quiet. But I just think there's a school of thought, and I'll leave this because I know some of our people that watch this know how much I feel about this man. But Mark Noble's gone, and that's a big hole that we haven't. He's going to struggle to replace Mark Noble, not just in the footballing sense, but just in the player sense and what he does around the club. You know, there's a lot of new players and they need bedded in.
Okay, so moving on to this weekend's fixtures. Southampton, Man United. I'll start with Rosampton. Your thoughts maybe on Casemiro making his debut and the signing, and possibly Anthony, but more Casemiro.
Casemiro, I think here and now, it's a great signing. I think he's still got a good 1 to 3 years left. Probably won't be the best his prime, but still, I'd say better than the rest of the Premier League squad in terms of defensive midfielders. It will be interesting to see how he lines up, to see how he plays. It will be a big step down for him. But like I said, if he wants a challenge, he's definitely going to have one at United, especially having to come into the likes of Fred McTominay or even having to play from Maguire in the back. So we'll see how he handles it. We'll see how Eric Ten Hag plays him. I think, yeah, it is a great signing. I think it was just it did seem almost like a panic buy after going for De Jongs for so long. But if I had to choose one, I'll definitely go for Casemiro. The experience, the longevity. He's just a proven world-class player for me personally. In terms of Anthony, I'm a bit mixed feelings to be honest, because I know he usually plays on the wing on the right, but if we're gonna play Rashford and on the left and Sancho on the right, where would he fit in? Will he just be a squad rotation player? Is he just gonna play in the League Cup games until he's fully reached his potential? I'm not too sure. And then you got to consider we've got such a young front forward. If you consider it, Martial is still 25, 26 years old, capable of playing in the number 9 or the number 11 position. Rashford's only 25 or turning 25 soon. Sancho is 24 or whatnot. So with Anthony coming in, I'm not too sure exactly where he'll be suited. I mean, I remember we signed Diallo a few years ago. He's currently going back and forth on loan. So it's a bit, a bit of a grey area. I'm not too sure where his future would technically lie at United and whether he would even get into the starting 11. Regarding the Southampton fixture, again, I just have to take it for what it is on paper. I'm expecting a win. We're on a great result back off Liverpool. The morale's good. We've got the momentum of us. We should be all fully fit. Obviously, what Ten Hag does, we'll see on the day. But I'm going to go for a 2-0 United win.
Jeff, your thoughts on Casemiro and Southampton game?
Yeah, Casemiro is a very good signing. World-class player. But I want to see how he adapts to the Premier League and the players around him, because obviously at Real Madrid, he's playing with Modric, Kroos, he's got Militao behind him, Alaba, but this United team is not really good right now, so he's going to be playing next to Fred, behind him Lissandro, Varane, and I don't think he can even speak English yet, so I want to see how he really adapts. I don't know if he's going to play against Southampton, because I think he's only had 1 or 2 training sessions, but yeah, I like to see how he plays that game, if he does play. And Southampton, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I want to see how this team actually performs, because Liverpool, like everyone gets up for Liverpool, but these are the games where you can see whether the team has gone forward or not. So it's an early kickoff, so I don't know if I'm expecting a win or not, because this team lets me down time and time after again. So I'll go with a 1-1 draw, my prediction.
All right, I'll go next. Casemiro for me, he's a world-class midfielder, maybe arguably the best in the world still. And like no matter what club you play for, like world-class players, like I remember like David Silva, for example, when he came to Man City, even though he doesn't play for my club, I just like seeing like top quality from Europe or globally come into the league, see how they adapt and like see what they can do. So Casemiro, yeah, even as a rival fan, not a United fan, I look forward to seeing how he does. And I will hopefully want to see him play against Southampton. I would look forward to that. I hope he starts. I'm not sure, obviously, how much he's trained. On the game, I think Southampton, like it could go either way with Southampton. Like they could win games or they could get battered. Like usually there's no in between with Southampton. Their games are a bit difficult to predict. They could beat United 2-1. They could get smoked 5-0, 4-0. So I think United will win. I think if Ten Hag, if he keeps the same team, dropping the names that maybe Maguire or some of the people that maybe don't deserve to play, if he keeps that team, hopefully he didn't just do that for the Liverpool game. If he does that, maybe bring in Martial, for Elanga, and Casemiro, if he's fit, maybe replacing McTominay. I think if he goes with that, yeah, I think United will win.
Martial's injured.
Martial's injured?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. So maybe Rashford, Sancho, and Eriksen behind. Maybe Ronaldo then. Maybe Ronaldo, I'll bring him in for Martial. I think United, I'll go 3-1 United. I think they'll be too good for Southampton. James?
Yeah, very quickly. Southampton are a team that are so inconsistent. You don't know what they're doing. You know that they go on runs of losing silly games and then beat a big team. But I think Man United will have too much for them. I think he's got to play as close to the starting 11 that he started against Liverpool, against Southampton. So I think there'll be a few new players on the bench. I think Jefferson's right. The new lad isn't ready, I don't think, to start, but he may find a place on the bench. And I think he's got to try and get to as close to that starting 11 by injuries that started against Liverpool. And this is a big game for United because they had all that on the Monday night. To beat Southampton, that will cement that result. They lose to Southampton or get a draw, people will start questioning again. Whereas if they win this game, they could put a run of 3 or 4 games together of winning. You know, they'd be pushing towards the top, which is where they should be, really, a team like Man United.
Yeah, I agree. And a score prediction for the game?
I might even go as big as saying 4-0 United.
Fair enough. Next, Chelsea Leicester. Obviously Leicester. I think I'm hearing rumors about maybe Brendan Rodgers maybe wanting to leave or might be on the getting sacked soon, which I think is a bit harsh. I don't think he was backed really in the transfer market. If I was him, he possibly could have even left after winning the FA Cup, because I think he would have. Leicester, they've overachieved, obviously. I think FA Cup and pushing for top 4, I think probably that was as good as he gets for them, maybe. So maybe that would have been the right time to walk away. So I sort of feel for Brendan Rodgers. He's not really been backed. I know there's a certain Leicester defender that we're interested in. Not sure if he's going to play on Saturday, or probably not. But even if they do sell him, and Tielemans obviously wanting to leave, I think as well. I mean, maybe Arsenal looking most likely. There'll be 2-3 days left of the transfer market left, so I don't know how they're going to have enough time to replace them. So I think Leicester squad by the close of this transfer window could be really sort of thin. I worry for Leicester. I think maybe they could even be pushing maybe towards the bottom half. I don't think they're going to be finishing top half this season if they're losing core players. I mean, if we don't beat Leicester, then I mean we really are in crisis. So surely not. Surely this is going to be 3 points. But with us, especially with that midfield, but obviously the striking issues as well up front. I'm not sure, but Leicester, if you can't beat them, then we're in trouble. So I'll go 1-0 Chelsea. We don't score many goals. We're at Stamford Bridge. Stamford Bridge. I think Kante's still injured. I think Kova's back, but I'll go 1-0. Anyone could go next. Up to you. Chelsea, Leicester.
Chelsea will win, but it'd be a boring game. Simple as. Brendan Rodgers can't afford to lose it. He'll set his team up to try and keep it 0-0. But I think Chelsea will just have too much for them in the second half because it's at Stamford Bridge, and Chelsea need to recover from their away game at Leeds.
So score prediction for that?
2-0 in the end.
2-0. Razanthan?
I'm going to go for a 0-0. I feel like Leicester will definitely be on the defensive side. I feel like it's going to be a boring game, like what Datsun said. I don't see any big chances being created. If a goal does come, it'll probably come from against the run of play, to be honest.
Okay, Jefferson?
I'll go with a 2-1 Chelsea because, 2-1 Chelsea. It'll be a boring game, like the other two have said, but I think Chelsea will just have enough.
All right. Aston Villa, West Ham, James.
3-1 West Ham straight off. First win of the season. No problem. Villa take the lead. West Ham get panicky, but we score 3 in the second half. 3-1. Job done. Antonio and Skamaka. Skamaka gets twice. Can't be as convincing as that. Has to be. I've got to say that. I can't dwell on it. I can't sort of say, it's Aston Villa there. I can't. No, straight off 3-1 West Ham.
Yeah, I'll go. Obviously, Gerrard. I think there's sort of a lot of expectation within the Aston Villa fan base. I know he's been backed in the transfer market, brought in a couple players. I've tipped Villa to be like my surprise package of the season, but that's not really going well. I think I'm seeing them take the leading games, like the Palace game, they led, and then Palace just come back and blow them away 3-1. So defensively, I think they're not as strong. Villa, I don't know. I'll go 1-1 just purely because Villa are at home. I'll just say draw. Resentful.
Yeah, the Aston Villa West Ham game kind of reminds me of the Man United Liverpool in the sense that, West Ham got something to prove. Aston Villa still got something to prove. There's a lot of pressure on Gerrard and Lampard, being both English midfielders. They're supposed to be the next generation managers. I feel like, yes, Gerrard has somewhat proved himself with Rangers, but now he's in the Premier League. He's got, show some consistency, show some results. He showed it here and there last season, but against smaller teams, he did lose games where the previous season under Dean Smith, they would win them. So I'd go for a 1-1 draw in this game.
Yeah, speaking of Gerrard, by the way, I'm not sure what you guys think. I don't think he's good enough to be Klopp's successor. I'm going to say that now. I know Liverpool, I know they were saying like maybe Klopp, he's obviously extended his contract by another 5-6 years or something like that. And hopefully Gerrard will be sort of ready in that time. But I personally, I don't think they should probably go down that route. Obviously, we've had Frank Lampard.
Has Gerrard been backed by the Aston Villa board?
I know he's brought in. I know Diego Carlos is injured. I think he's ruptured something. Like he was brought in. I know Kamara, midfielder. He's brought in a couple others as well. Like I think 3-4 players altogether. But I don't think they've sort of settled that well. Even the Everton game, sort of at the end, Everton could have even drawn that game. Villa were hanging on at the end there. It wasn't really convincing. So me personally, Liverpool, we've seen it with Frank Lampard. I don't think you should bring your legend back to be a manager. Personally, that's what I think. But yeah, what do you think?
Is it Villa Everton? Villa West Ham?
Villa West Ham at Villa Park.
At Villa Park. Ooh.
Yeah.
Away from home. Gerrard is under pressure, but West Ham haven't got a win yet at the start of the season, so I think they would go there and get the 3 points because they're actually under a lot of pressure. So I'll go 2-1 West Ham.
All right, and so does anyone have anything to add before we wrap up? That's the content covered.
Champions League.
Final thoughts on anything? Yeah. Champions League group stage. Chelsea, sure, we have to get through our group. It's AC Milan, Zagreb, and Salzburg, I think. So I'm assuming if everything goes according to plan, it'd probably be between us and AC Milan for top spot, maybe in our group. The group, I think everyone would probably see that group C is looking like the group of death. I think, is it Bayern, Barcelona, and Inter all in the same group? Barca, with the amount of money they've spent, they have to make it out the group stage. Otherwise, they're missing out on Champions League prize money. That would be sort of detrimental maybe to their financial state. But with their economic levers, they'll probably pull money out of thin air again. But if they don't make it out the group stage, I don't know how they won't be in sort of financial trouble with all the money they've spent. What else in the group stage? I know City. I think City will win their group. Liverpool, same. I think the English teams will make it through to the last 16, but I don't think it's going to be everyone making it beyond the quarterfinal in terms of the English teams. I think it will be more of a even distribution between all the nations. And in terms of predicting a winner, it's probably early. But before ball was kicked, I just predicted a winner. I went for Bayern Munich this season, so that's sort of my prediction to win the Champions League. Anyone else's thoughts on that? And is the Europa League draw tomorrow and the Conference League? I'm not sure.
Draw was done today.
The what?
The Europa League draw.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Who did United get?
United got Real Sociedad, Sheriff, and something I'm not even going to bother pronouncing. But I remember Sheriff did beat Real Madrid last season, so I'm not going to take anything away from them. But yeah, like I said, obviously not exactly pleased to be in Europa League, but we'll see how it goes. I think midway through the season, I'll have a better understanding of whether we're actually contenders for top 4 or not, and then I'll prioritize them. They should prioritize Europa League, personally.
And between you and Jefferson, you both expecting to win the Europa League this season?
Definitely.
Yeah. We should be winning it, yeah. I think that's our way to get into the Champions League next year, our best chance, because I don't think we'll get top 4. So, yeah, we should be aiming to win the Europa League, and we should win it.
But it's nothing to celebrate. I think if I win it, it's just a thing where it's like, all right, cool, we've won it. Let's move on. It never happened. We got the Champions League spot.
Datsun, James, anything to add on the Champions League or Europa League?
I think his connection.
Is he frozen or?
Yeah, I think it's frozen.
Okay, so we'll just your prediction, like, so you think United will win the Europa League? Is there pressure on you guys to win it?
I think Arsenal will win it.
I don't think there's
my connections.
All right. Yeah, go on, Jeff. What are you saying?
I don't think there's pressure. I think there's pressure on us to win a trophy because we have 5-6 years, but we should be winning the Europa League if we're really thinking about it, because not many. It actually depends on the teams that drop down from the Champions League, but we should be getting to at least semis minimum, in my opinion.
Okay, and too early to predict the Champions League, or you predicting someone you think that will win it this season? Maybe a dark horse, or
I'll go Real Madrid back to back.
Go Real Madrid back to back. Well, Razanthan, you?
Oh, good question. Champions League. I'm gonna go for PSG.
You're gonna go for PSG?
I think they have to.
I'll go Bayern Munich. Like, I know Gravenberch, De Ligt, Mane. Like, I've been impressed with a lot of Bayern signings, so I'm gonna go for Bayern to win the Champions League. James, is he back? Can you hear us?
I think he's muted though.
I think you're on mute.
So I've had a nightmare with as most of you watching know, I live on a farm, so the internet's pretty rubbish. What's the question? Who's going to win the Champions League?
Yeah. We're just talking about the European fixtures, Europa League, Champions League, and West Ham.
Right, okay, Champions League, Man City, Europa League, Man United, Conference West Ham. Yeah. Job done.
Fair enough. Well, if no one else has anything to add, then thanks everyone for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see how the weekend's fixtures go. Obviously, the end of the transfer window in a couple of days' time. And yeah, we'll see you all again soon. Take care.